Miss Samantha Fisher, valedictorian.
That's such a good idea, Valedictorian. What does that mean to you? A valedictorian is supposedly one with the highest academic rank in the class. In preparation for my speech, I did a bit of research to understand this honor. Though many claimed that the honor is dependent on academics, I believe that like all things in life, it has a deeper meaning. I came across an interesting definition a while back, and it was an occasion of farewell. Ever since the start of 8th grade, my classmates spent a majority of their time raving about saying goodbye and what would happen to them in the dreaded future. With all the buzz of high school and plans, it seemed impossible to comprehend the complexity of the situation. The future was just as significant to me as it was to everyone else, but somehow I knew that worrying just wasn't an option at the time. I took a moment to think and realized I was going to be okay, for the future would be absolutely nothing without the past. If anything, Zion taught me to have patience and to persevere. In our lives, things are going to be thrown at us. There may be things we desperately want to move past, but now I am aware that everything happens for a reason. We would certainly not be given too much to handle. I know in my heart I would not be the person I am today without my family. They've been there for me every step of the way, letting me shine and supporting all my decisions. These past few years, I've been through a lot. I entered Zion in 6th grade, coming from Alamo Elementary, a school without uniforms, over 700 students, and no religion classes whatsoever. I wanted to fit in, as any normal schoolgirl would. My family was my support system, and they endured just as much as I did. I assimilated to the environment eventually, and found my place. My friends, the ones I know I'll keep forever, taught me much more about myself than I could have ever imagined. It varies for each person, but ultimately, they all taught me something. I was taught that letting go of my dreams is never an option because there are some things worth fighting for. I learned not to be ashamed and to love who I am, for I'm perfectly imperfect, and that's the greatest realization I could have ever come to. And who could forget my teachers? Miss Vernoy taught me to like science as I never had before. And Mr. Slay taught me that Spanish is much more than just a "Hola, ¿cómo estás?" Mr. and Mrs. Sandoli made choir unforgettable, and Miss Toth brought a fun twist to PE class, especially on days when my classmates and I would practice our gymnastics skills by flipping on the mats we set about the gym. Mr. Jambrino taught me that math definitely requires as much brain power as you can muster, especially when it comes to basic functions. And last, but certainly not least, Mr. Sato taught me that history can really come alive, and that success, without a doubt, is our only option. All along, I believe that part of growing up was finding your true self. It was finding something that made you stand out from the crowd. It wasn't until recently, when a wise friend of mine explained to me that passion is a flame growing within, and not something that would necessarily make up your entire personality. I realized that it's quite possible for it to be impossible to find yourself, for we're always changing and making mistakes. These mistakes, these memories, they truly influenced my life and will stick with me forever. There were times I would burst out in song and dance at the worst moments. On occasion, I would even laugh until I cried. I remember my first spring concert and my first outdoor education trip. I remember my first oral book report of all things. I remember learning how to use a Bible for the first time in my life. I remember being carried up the hill by Mr. Sato after getting hit with a shot put during track season. I remember beginning friendships in car rides and all the memorable math classes where we would talk about things from saving starving children in Brazil to the probability of clone twins residing in our closets. I remember helping friends with crutches, having fun yet painful snowball fights in Yosemite, and standing in awe at the sights in Washington, D.C. as I was guided to some of the most spectacular places with my eyes closed to add suspense. I remember watching Kipper at 1 in the morning in our hotel in D.C. and ranting about having the same shoes as my friends. I remember it all like it was only yesterday, and sometimes I wish nothing more than to go back to these moments and live in them forever. In conclusion, I found that being a valedictorian isn't all about the grades. It's about being real and standing up for what you believe in. It's about stepping outside your comfort zone and doing things no one else believed you could manage. It's about love and honor, yet most importantly, letting yourself shine as you were meant to.